So both remember again, the Gemara has been speaking about the concept of a shivcha necharefes. Now, interestingly enough, one of the things that we're going to do in today's daf is actually define this particular term. What type of shivcha does it refer to? What type of maidservant does it refer to? We'll get to that a little bit later. But right now, mas shivcha ben kol harayos. What's the difference between the isser concerning a shivcha necharefes, which again is for our purposes right now, it's a shivcha kinanis who is betrothed to an Eved Ivri. That's the basic definition we're going to go with now. We'll further define that in just a little bit. So that falls under the umbrella of arayos. Yet we already have seen that this is treated differently than all other arayos. So ma'bein shivcha lebein kol arayos shelo shavsa lahen lo ba'onesh v'lo b'karban. Shivcha charufa is different both in terms of onesh, which means malchus, and karban. How so? Shekol harayos bechatos v'shivcha ba'asham. All other arayos, if you commit them b'shogeg, you bring a chatos. Shivcha charufa is an asham. Kol harayos b'nekev v'shivcha b'zachar. All other arayos, the nature of that chatos is that it is a female animal. With a shivcha, ultimately it is a male animal. Kol harayos echad ish ve'echad isha shavim makas b'karban. All other arayos, all other illegal, immoral relationships, both a man and woman are punishable by malchus, ubekarban. In other words, the punishment is the same for the man and the woman. Ubeshivcha, or the shivcha charufa, do hishva lo ha'ish li'isha b'malchus, v'lo hishva ha'isha li'ish b'karban. So as we're going to see, by shivcha charufa, a man is not like a woman vis-a-vis malchus, in that malchus is only administered to the shivcha, not administered to the man who had relations with her, and the karban is only brought by the man, would not be brought by the shivcha. Furthermore, kol ha'arayos asa b'anas ha'ma'ara kegomer. Both in general, when it comes to arayos, the halacha is that ma'ara. Both say there's an interesting discussion. Rashi actually points this out in Maseches Yevamos, as to which point, how much actual physical contact must there be in order for an act of relations to have considered to have occurred. So if you look at Rashi, the second to last line in Rashi on the Daf, Kol harayos kulan asaman ma'ara kegomer. So Maseches Yevamos parakol haba yivimto. Ubeshivcha eno chayiv ela al gmar bia d'shechvas zerek sivba shiruya lahazriya. So we'll say when it comes to other arayos, if there's what's called ma'ara. Now we'll say is machlokes in the Gemara what ma'ara means. Is what we call neshikas evarim, just contact between the male and female sexual organs, or some basic minimal amount of penetration. But one thing is clear, which is you don't need a complete act of bia in order to go ahead and violate the arayos. That is different by shivcha. By shivcha charufa, there is only an isser if there is a complete act of bia. V'chayev al kol bia ubia. And furthermore, again, by general arayos, you are chayev separately and distinctly by every act of bia. Zu chomer echmer b'shivcha. So we'll say ultimately, again, this is the chumrah that ultimately, again, by shivcha, which is top of Yud Aleph, sha'asa ba'as hamezid kishogeg. But remember, again, when it comes to shivcha, so whether, again, a man went ahead and had relations with her, b'mezid, b'shogeg, halacha l'maisa, there is a chiyuv for the karban. Ezu is shivcha. So we'll say, interesting, after now that we've spoken about this, so what is this shivcha charufa that we are talking about? Who is she? Kol shechatzi shivcha v'chatzi bas chorin. She is someone who is half shivcha and half bas chorin. So we'll say the easiest illustration, of course, of cases like this, whenever you have a chatzi ben chorin, or chatzi shivcha, chatzi bas chorin, is a shivcha who's jointly owned by two people. One person emancipated his chelik. So what happens if you emancipate your chelik of a shivcha kinanis? She's a chatzi shivcha, chatzi bas chorin. So the Gemara says, "V'chatzi bas chorin shenemar v'hefta lo nifdasa." Because the Bible say when the pasuk describing her uses the lashon of hefta lo nifdasa, which literally translated means she's been redeemed but not fully redeemed. Although we're going to see that this is subject to machlokes as well. Dear Rabbi Huda, these words are Rabbi Huda. So we'll say Rabbi Huda understands that the case of shivcha charufa is a case of chatzi shivcha, chatzi bas chorin. That's Rabbi Huda. Rabbi Shmuel says, Zohi shivcha vadois. Rabbi Shmuel says, no. The case of shivcha charufa is what? shivcha vados, a complete shivcha. That's the case over here. She's a full shivcha. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, Kol araos mefurashos v'shir ein lanu ela chatzia shivcha v'chatzia baschorin. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, in general, all of the arayos, bless you, all of the arayos, bless you, have been spelled out for us in the Torah. Now we'll say now what Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is saying over here, according to Rashi, is as follows. Look at Rashi. Kol araos mefurashos shein benos chorin. In general, the arayos situation refer to fully emancipated Jewish women, with one exception, shivcha charufa, which is a chatzi shivcha, chatzi baschor. Now, both say at first glance it appears that what? That Rabbi Eliezer is saying the same exact thing as Rabbi Yehuda. That they're both saying that the case of shivcha charufa is a chatzi shivcha, chatzi baschorin, and kind of nestled in the middle of there you have Rabbi Shmuel saying that Allah Lamaisa, she's a complete shivcha. So we'll see in the Gemara what is the distinction ultimately again between Shita number 1 and Shita number 3. Minolam, so it says the Gemara. So suppose I say now we've spelled out the details concerning shivcha charufa. So asks the Gemara, Minolam dihi lakya v'hu lo laki. Suppose one of the interesting details when it comes to shivcha charufa is what? That Allah Lamaisa, she gets malchus. He does not. He brings a carbon. She does not. So how do I know? Dihi lakya v'hu lo laki. How do I know that halacha lamaisa again? That she gets malchus and he doesn't get malchus. The Tan Rabbanon, because the Gemara says we quote the pasuk that says bikores tihya. They're both say all the same pasuk. Just in the pasuk we're dealing with. V'ish ki yishka ves isha shechvas zera. So we're going to see each of these phrases are absolutely important for understanding the totality of this context. So if a man will sleep with a woman shechvas zera, v'shivcha necharefes leish, and she is a shivcha who is necharefes. We'll define all of these terms to a man. Vehefte lo nifdasa, which means we're translating now she has not been fully redeemed. Ochu pasha lo nitan la. We'll see what that means. Bikores tihya. So Rabbi saying, so the pashat pshat of bikores tihya is you shall launch an investigation. Right? You have to understand what it is that occurred over here. So the Gemara is darshaning now this phrase in a dramatically different way. Bikores tihya milamed shehi loka. Ultimately, I'm going to say, what does it teach me? It teaches me that halacha lamaisa, she gets malchus. So the Gemara is darshaning over here that halacha lamaisa bikores tihya means she gets malchus. How bikores tihya means that remains to be seen. Yachol shnei loka, and you might have thought both of them get malchus. Talmud lomar tihya. He loka, who eino loka. Fine. So we'll say, so bikores tihya teaches me, and tihya is nekeva. She gets malchus, he doesn't get malchus. Uminayin dahadin bikores lishna da malchusu. How do I know that bikores means malchus? From where do I know that? To which the Gemara says, I'll tell you how. Rabbi Yitzchak tehei bikroi. We'll say this is amazing because bikores means the shorish of bikores is kriya. That ultimately, again, she is subject to the reading. What's the reading? Listen to this. Kidusanya. We'll say when they administer malchus, here's the process. Gadol hadayan in makre, the senior judge, he does the reading. What's the reading? If you look at Rashi, Tei b'kriya, shein korin aleh v'hifla shemes makoscha. Shein korin alokim v'seches makis. Suppose listen to this. When you administer malchus, so what do? They read the psukim of malchus. Isn't that incredible? I guess it's not so incredible if you're getting malchus, but it's interesting, right? So as they're giving the malchus, they're going ahead and they're reading the psukim. We'll say, why are they reading the psukim? We'll say, again, if you think about it, it's such a dramatic thing. Sometimes things happen to us in life, and we don't realize why they're happening. But the truth is, if we lived life with a bit more awareness, we would realize why the things that happen to us. Because a lot of times we do things and we make decisions, and those decisions have results. And then when the results occur, I'm like baffled. Why did this occur? I can't believe this happened. So what happens? This person is getting malchus. What does the Gadol do? He reads the psukim. Don't be so baffled. Don't be so baffled when you act a certain way, you do certain things, there are certain results. So the Gadol Hadayanin goes in and reads the psukim. Sheni Mona, the second judge who is there, he's in charge of counting the lashes, so they shouldn't chas v'shalom give too many. And Shlishi Omeriko, and it's the third dayan who instructs the whipper to go ahead and administer the lashes. Rav Ashi Amar Sabosai. So that's the idea. So the Gemara is understanding Bikores Tihya means that Bikores a notion of Kriya, that she is subject to reading. She's subject to reading. That ultimately, again, the reading is a reference to the Malkus process. So from here you see that the Shifcha Charufa receives Malkus. Rav Ashi Omer Rav Ashi says, Bebikur Tihya. She is subject to Bikur. Both say Bikur means what? Literally again, like a Bikur Chola, like an evaluation, right? Evaluation. Kidisnan, Ein Omdin Osa Ela Makas Haru'uyin Lihishtalish. So ultimately again, so what happens? Bikur is a lashon of valuation. What's it just to understand? Why is it called Bikur Cholim? Yeah. Right? Why is it called Bikur Cholim? So Bikur also means to visit, but Bikur means evaluation. But you know what the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim is? It's not like to pop in and say, hey, what's up? It's to go to visit to see if the Cholim needs anything. Right? That's the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim. Right? To go ahead and see, does this Cholim need something? Sometimes a Cholim just needs companionship and visiting. But mamish, that's lashon. So Rav Ashi in the sense, Bikores Tiyah means a lashon of evaluation. What does that do with Malkus? Because they both say in general again. So here the Brisa says you only give Malkus units that are divisible by 3. Because we all say that's, remember again going back to our Malkus days, right? Part of the Malkus are administers on 3 different parts of the body. But point over here for our purposes is they evaluate the person, how many Malkus can they withstand? So Bikores Tiyah is a lashon of Malkus. Fine. So both say so. Halacha l'maaseh. Now what we've proven is Bikores Tiyah teaches us the Shifcha Charufa gets Malkus. I don't know, he doesn't get Malkus, because what's the lashon? Tiyah. Tiyah is what? Tiyah is lashon nekeva. It's feminine. So from here you see the Shifcha Charufa gets Malkus. The man who engaged in relations with her does not. Fine, let's go back to Turn Rabbanan. Bizman she'isha lokeh ha'ish mevi karban. So now we're going to see that there is a relationship between their punishments. When the Shifcha Charufa gets Malkus, that's when the man has to bring his karban, has to bring his asham. Eina isha lokeh, if for some reason the woman, the Shifcha, would not get Malkus, ein ha'ish mevi karban. So the man doesn't bring karban. So both say, so their punishments are linked. Whenever she's chayavis in Malkus, he's chayav in karban. She's not chayavis in Malkus, he's not chayav in karban. Amar Rav Mila, and where do you know this from? Amar Rav Dichsev, v'ish ki yishkav es isha shechva zera, v'shivcha necharefes la'ish, deheftei lo niftasa, o chupasha lo nitan la. Michdi, ad hacha b'ish mishtaikra. So let's remember again, beforehand, before this passage, the Torah was speaking about liability of a man. Nichtov v'hevies ashamo lahashem. Ulubasof lichtov bikores tiyah. Since Shabbos say ultimately the subject of the pasuk is ish ki yishkav ish ki yishkav as isha shechva zera. Pasuk is talking about a man who violates. So it would make most sense that since the subject of the pasuk is the man, therefore what? Talk about his punishment first. First, go ahead and speak about the asham that he has to bring, and then afterwards, what? Speak about bikores tiyah, ultimately the malchus that she gets. Amai kasav rachmana bereisha bikores tiyah v'sof kasav heviyesh asham ol Hashem. Why does the Torah first speak about her obligation, or I should say her punishment of bikores tiyah, of malchus, and then only afterwards speak about his obligation of karban? Tachi kamar, because this is what it means to say. In bikores tiyah, to teach that there's a relationship between her malchus and his karban. If she will get her malchus in bikores tiyah, v'hevies ashamo laHashem, then he will bring his karban. V'im lo tiyah bikores, lo yavihu es ashamo. And if she is not subject to malchus, then he does not bring his asham. Good. Se'ema hu mietekra, aval hi lo tilki v'tesi karban. Maybe it's coming to say something different. Maybe halacha l'maisa, it's coming to go ahead and exclude him from punishment. But halacha l'maisa, in that case, she'll go ahead and get malchus and bring the karban. No, because v'hevies ashamo laHashem. Because we're saying the same way that bikores tihya, the tihya is the feminine, indicating to us what? That the punishment of malchus is limited to the woman. So when it comes to the karban, the Torah uses the lashon of v'hevies ashamo. He will bring his karban masculine, indicating to us that the karban is only a liability by the man and not a liability by the woman. So both say, so therefore again, so far 3 halachas. Halacha number 1, she gets malchus and only she gets malchus. Halacha number 2, he brings a carbon and only he brings a carbon. And halacha number 3, their punishments are linked. When she is chayeves in malchus, he is chayev in an asham. But if for some reason she is not subject to the laws of malchus, right? The simplest example will be of this of where she's a kitana, right? Then ultimately, again, he would not be chayev ultimately in asham. Good. Rabbi Yitzchak. Another incredible qualification. Rabbi Yitzchak says over here, the only time that a man is chayiv in shifcha for shifcha charufa to bring that asham, right, is ultimately again is if the shifcha herself is not a besula. If she's not a besula, she has to be a beula. Shina emar the shifcha necharefes leish. So the Gemara's understanding of Rabbi said that the lashon of necharefes is a lashon of changed state, right? A changed state, that she is changed. And the Gemara's understanding the nature of that change is that she is not a besula, but rather she is a beula. Umay mashma dahay necharefes lishna d'shenuyehu. How do you know that necharefes? Rabbi say the pashut, the way we translate necharefes is betrothed. The Gemara's understanding that what it ultimately means is yes, betrothed, but she's changed. I.e., she's not a besula, she's a bula. How do you know that necharefes means this changed state? Lishna d'shenuyehu. Rashi says over lishna d'shenuyeh shenishtanes mibriasa, that she is different than the way she was born, right? She was born a besula, but now there's something physiologically different about her, that she's a beula. The chsiv, as he quotes over here, the pasuk from Shmuel Beis, the pasuk says, "Vatishtach alav harifos v'lo noda davar." Literally translated, both side means scattered the crushed grain. So you see the lashon for crushed grain is harifos, right? So you see that this word harufa, harifos, means something that is changed from its original state, right? Crushed grain is not the same as whole grain. By same of the other pasuk is Gemara quotes another pasuk. Vim tichtosh es ha'avel b'machtesh b'so harifos ba'ali. Fine. So both says so again, another pasuk that indicates to us that harifos again is a lashon of changed state. So therefore, the Gemara understands that necharefes was another qualification. You're only chay for shifcha charufa if what? If she's a beula, not a basula. Next, vayitnu yadam lahotin esheim va'ashemim. So both say here the Gemara is quoting over here. Interesting enough from the pasuk in Ezra. So this is literally the pasuk vayitnu yadam lahotin esheim. So both say so. This is when they came back to Eretz Yisrael. So the pasuk speaks about the fact that, or actually before they left Bavel, so Ezra told many men that they had to leave their wives because they were illegal marriages. What was the nature of some of these illegal marriages? They divorced their wives. And they brought, so these men not only left their wives, but what? They brought an asham offering. So both say, what type of a legal union requires an asham offering for its atonement? Shifcha charufa. Amrav Chisda Malamed Shekulan Shvachos Charufos Baalu. It teaches us that what? Apparently many of the men in Bavel had engaged in relations with Shifchos Charufos. Therefore they had to bring an asham. Okay, interesting. Ezu Shifcha. So remember again, now we go back to the fundamental definition. Fundamental definition. What is a Shifcha Charufa? So remember again, we have three opinions in the Mishnah. Now the three really sound like two. Right, opinion number 1, Rabbi Huda, is Chatzi Shifcha, Chatzi Baschorin. Opinion number 2, Rabbi Shmuel, Shifcha Vada is total Shifcha. And opinion number 3, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, sounds like it's the same thing as Rabbi Huda, which is Chatzi Shifcha, Chatzi Baschorin. So watch this. Tan Rabbanan, Vehefda, Yachol Kula. So when the pasuk says that a man has relations with a woman, and she is shivcha necharefes lish v'hafdei, right? V'hafdei. So say hafdei means redeemed. You might have thought yachal kula. So you might have thought she's totally redeemed. Tamulomar lo nifdasa. But then the next phrase says what? She's not been redeemed. Yachal lo nifdasa. So you might have thought she's not redeemed at all. Tamulomar v'hafdei. So Rabbi says, so what's going on over here? So hakit. So Rabbi says, so peduya ve'ina peduya. What's the case? We'll have shivcha charufa. She's redeemed, but not redeemed. What's that case? Chetzia shivcha v'chetzia baschorin. O meureses le'evet ivri. And Rabbi says it's a very specific case. She is a chatzi shivcha, Chatzi Baschorin, who is betrothed to an Eved Ivri. Dear Rabbi Kiva, supposed to remember again, an Eved Ivri is permitted to be given a shifcha for procreation purposes. There's an important caveat on that, right? The Eved Ivri could only be given a shifcha if what? If he's married. Right, the Eved Ivri himself, must be married in order to receive a shifcha for procreation purposes. But we'll say again, the logic behind that is we're very nervous if the Eved Ivri is single and he's given a shifcha kinanis for procreation purposes. What's going to happen? He's going to end up staying with her, right? He's never going to want to leave. So this way, we're hoping is that if he's married, I would say happily married, although I don't understand how these things work, right? I'm not going to try to delve into it exactly. I don't know how exactly that impacts shalom bayis when the Eved Ivri is given a shifcha kinanis, but it's just for procreation purposes. Right? So again, I don't know how it works. I guess it worked. So the Gemara says as follows. So Rabbi Akiva therefore understands. There's no need for a sidebar conversation on this, right? I told you the totality that we need to discuss about this. So I'll say, so Rabbi Akiva understands over here. Rabbi Akiva understands over here that halacha lemaisa, the case that we're talking about is hefte lo niftasa peduya ve'ena peduya chatzi shifcha chatzi baschorin, and she was promised to, she was betrothed, almost I'm using that term loosely, but betrothed to an Eved Ivri. An Eved Ivri. There's no formal betrothal process, but she's betrothed to an Eved Ivri. Rabbi Shmuel says, B'shivcha k'nanis ha'chasam adar. Rabbi Shmuel says, no. The pasuk is talking about a shivcha. This is a non-Jewish maidservant. This is a shivcha k'nanis. U'me'ureses le'Eved Ivri. But he agrees, so we'll say, Rabbi Shmuel agrees with Rabbi Akiva that the betrothal part over here is that she is promised to an Eved Ivri. He disagrees in that Rabbi Shmuel says she is a complete shivcha kinanis. There's no tzad of Kerisus. She's not partially emancipated. Right? She's no shivcha kinanis. Imkain, not hamalam v'hefte lo nifdasa. So Rabbi Shmuel, what do you do with that phrase v'hefte lo nifdasa? So dibra tar klasha menei adam. So I'll say, interesting, Rabbi Shmuel holds hefte lo nifdasa actually means what? She's not redeemed. But one second, it means hefte lo nifdasa. So Rabbi Shmuel says that's just how people talk. Right? She right? V'hefte lo nifdasa, right? She has not been redeemed. Right? Hefte, so we'll say, you see, Rabbi Akiva reads it as hefte lo nifdasa. She has been redeemed, but not totally redeemed. What does that mean? Partially redeemed. Rabbi Shmuel says, no, hefte lo nifdasa means she hasn't been redeemed. And that's how people talk. The hefte lo nifdasa, redeemed, but no, she's not redeemed. Which means she's not redeemed. She's a full shivcha kinanis. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Omer. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, Kol arayos mifurashos lana mishuya lanu chatzia shifya. I'm sorry. Kol arayos mifurashos lana. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says like this. In general, when it comes to all other arayos, we are speaking about Jewish women, right? And a Jewish woman, of course, is a free woman. That's what we're talking about. Free Jewish women. So the Gemara says, I'm sorry. Mishuya lana chatzia shifcha v'chatzia baschorin. U'meureses le'eved ivri. So the only exception to this rule, says Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, is the chatzi shivcha, chatzi baschorin, who is betrothed to an Eved Ivri. Acherim omrim, lo yumsu, ki lo chupasha. B'shivcha kinanis hakasav medaber, u'meureses le'eved kinani. So I'll say, others say that, what does it say? Lo yumsu ki lo chupasha, that there is no death penalty for this relationship. Why? Because she is not emancipated. So what's the case? Again, like you've been saying before, b'shivcha kinanis, shivcha, so the achirim abba say argue, and they say, no, we're talking about a full-fledged shivcha kinanis, like Rabbi Shmuel said before, and therefore, again, she is promised to an Eved Kinani, but halacha l'maisa, it's not adultery because she is a shivcha kinanis. To which the Gemara says, Rabbi Shmuel bishlama v'hefte lo niftase kidiktani dibra Torah kalasha b'nei adam. So it's according to Rabbi Shmuel, who says that we're talking about a full-fledged shivcha kinanis. So remember, according to Rabbi Shmuel, we said v'hefte lo niftas. That's not a problem. Why? Dibra Torah kalasha b'nei adam. That's just a vernacular. It's just a vernacular, but referring to a complete maidservant. Ella, so the Gemara says, Dibra Torah kalasha b'nei adam. Ella diktani me'uresas le'eved kinani minalan. People say, where do you get this point that we're talking about a shivcha who was betrothed to an Eved Ivri? Where do you see that in the pasuk? To which the Gemara says, "Dichsev kilochu pasha." It says she was not freed. Michlal dehu chofesh. Both say therefore it refers. Obviously, we're talking about a woman, a shifcha, who is promised to someone, right? They both say, how do I know that? Because the pasuk says, "Vi ishki ishkav isha shifcha zara vi shifcha necharefes leish," which means she's promised to someone. So we're stating, who is the man who she is promised to? Who is she promised to? An Eved Ivri. When I was asking, how do you know that? How do you know she's promised to an Eved Ivri? To which the Gemara says, because the pasuk says, Kilochu Pasha, she is not free. Michlal dehu chofesh, which infers to us that the man who she is promised to is free. Now both say, who is a man who is free, who could still have relations with the Shifcha Kenanis? An Eved Ivri. Both say, it's a very important point. An Eved Ivri is considered to be a free man. This is exceptionally important. An Eved Kenani is considered to be property. Right? Your non-Jewish servant is your property. An Eved Ivri is not your property. What is he? What is he? What is he? He's your employee. Now, it's a pretty significant term of employment. He works for you by day, works for you by night, but he's your employee. He is not your property. So now what we have to understand over here is the Torah is contrasting the fact that she is not free, yet she is given over to a man who is free. But one second, a Stam Jew can't, there's no such thing as a Stam Jew. I take that back. Chas v'shalom. Right? Now I will say, a regular Jew is not permitted to go ahead and marry. He can't have relations with the Shifcha Charufa. Right? He's not allowed to, he's not allowed to have a relation with the Shifcha. So who is a Jew who is free, who could have relations, who could be with a Shifcha? And what's the answer? Eved Ivri. Eved Ivri. So the Gemara kind of works backwards and backs into this. The only case where this could possibly come up would be a Shifcha who is promised ultimately again to an Eved Ivri. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva. Tush the Gemara says both sides, but 1 second. So let's go back now to the Mishnah. Shitos 1 and 3 seem to be saying the same in the Mishnah are saying the same thing. They're both defining what is the case of Shifcha. What's the case of Shifcha? Chatzi Shifcha. Chatzi Baschor. Remember again, both Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov seem to be saying the same exact thing. That halacha l'maisa, Chatzi Shifcha, Chatzi Baschor is what we're talking about. It's Rabbi Shmuel in the middle argues. Rabbi Shmuel in the middle says that halacha l'maisa we're talking about a full-blown Shifcha. To which the Gemara says, I don't understand. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva, they're saying the same thing. So to which the Gemara says, Rabbi Shmuel Kamar. So the truth is, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is actually coming to comment on the Shita of Rabbi Shmuel. Right? Rabbi Shmuel says the Shifcha mentioned over here is a complete Shifcha. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is commenting on that. And what is he saying? Lididi ba'alma kavasech svirale. The Dibra Torah kalasha manei adam. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says to Rabbi Shmuel, I actually hold like you. Meaning, in general, I would agree with you that Dibra Torah kalasha manei adam. That the Torah sometimes just employs lashonos. You don't have to dash in lashon. Torah is just talking the way people spoke. And therefore, again, the phrase, hefte lo niftasa, under certain circumstances, I would agree with you, could be understood as what? She is not free. See, again, remember again, Rabbi Huda is understanding hefte lo niftasa to means what? She's redeemed and not redeemed. He's taking that literally. And therefore, what's the case of redeemed and not redeemed? Chatzi shefa, chatzi baschorin. Rabbi Yishmael comes along and says, no, don't read into it. Hefte lo niftasa just means she's not redeemed. She's not redeemed. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says, Rabbi Shmuel, I normally agree with you that Dibra Torah klosha b'nei adam v'hachashayni. But this case over here is different. How so? Michtik siv lekra kilochu pasha v'hefdei lo niftasa lamali. See, Rabbi says Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov like this. If the Torah was indeed speaking about a regular shifcha kenanis, the pasuk already says lochu pasha. Lochu pasha means what? Lochu pasha means what? She's not free. Leave it at that. Just say she's not free and perfect. It's explicit. So about a full shifcha. The hefte lo niftasa lamali. So we're saying here's the problem. The problem is hefte lo niftasa now is what? A fully extra phrase. It's extraneous. It's totally irrelevant. In other words, if you want to tell me that the pasuk is talking about a regular shifcha, I have the phrase lochu pasha. She's not emancipated. Stop. Why do you then go ahead and add in the hefte lo niftasa? So Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, Rabbi Shmuel, my friend, even if you normally subscribe to the concept of Dibra Torah Kalasham B'nei Adam, it's going to be hard to employ that concept over here because that phrase is totally extra. So v'heftei lo niftasa lamali shma mina lahachiyasa lechatzia shifcha vechatzia baschorin. Comes to teach you that what? That Allah Chalamaysa, even if you normally subscribe to Dibra Torah Kalasham B'nei Adam, you can't really say that over here because halacha l'maisa, again, it's an extra phrase. Therefore, it must be coming to teach me. They are talking about a woman who is a chatzi shivcha, chatzi baschorin. Bishlama, Sigmar said la'acherim. What about the sheet of the acherim? Bishlama laheftei no iftas chasari Dibra Torah Kalasham B'nei Adam. So, let's remember again, the acherim seem to support the sheet of the acherim seem to line up with Rabbi Shmuel. So you want to understand the heftei lo niftasa Dibra Torah Kalasham B'nei Adam. Fine. Elahad the Evet Kanani minalon. How do we know that we're talking about an Evet Kanani according to the Achirim? Amakra kilahu pasha. She is not free. Im eno iyan ledida tnei in ledide. The Achirim will say, I don't need kilahu pasha for the shivcha. Why? Because the status of the shivcha I'm learning out ultimately again from heftei lo niftasa. If I don't need it for her, then what? Use it ultimately again for the man to whom she is promised. The man to whom she is promised is what? Chupasha, free but not totally free. Who is that? Ultimately, again, a reference to the Eved. So we'll say, halacha l'maisa, how do we paskin over here? Because we'll say this is exceptionally important, right? The case of shivcha charufa, most importantly, what type of shivcha are we referring to? So we'll say, so first of all, again, the Rambam paskins in Hilchos Isurei Bia, Perek Gimel Halacha Yedalid. Bias shivcha zu mishura mikal bios asura shebatorah. So we'll say, first of all, the Rambam echoes the sentiment of this Mishnah, which is shivcha charufa, even though again it is housed under the umbrella of arayos, of illicit immoral relationships, it is treated differently than all of them. Number one, sharehi lokesh shnemar bikoras tia v'chayiv carbon ashram shnemar v'hevi es hashamo. So we'll say, so number one, she gets malchus, he brings a carbon. And he quotes the drashas that we saw. Echad shogeg, ve'echad mezid, fine. So we'll say, so what's the case? What's the case? Shivcha I'm sorry, wrong halacha, Yud Gimel. Shivcha charuf hamura b'Torah, he shechetzia shivcha vechetzia baschorin. Umikudeshes le'eved ivri shene'emar lo yumsu ki lo chupasha. Good. So both say halacha l'maisa. The Rambam paskins like the shitos other than Rabbi Shmuel, namely that halacha l'maisa, the shivcha haruf we're talking about over here is chatzi shivcha, chatzi baschorin, who is promised to an eved ivri. So now just to understand the case, what's the case? If a regular Jew has relations with this woman who is a chatzi shivcha, chatzi baschorin, who is promised to an eved ivri, that's ultimately the case of shivcha charufa, where again he, the Yisrael, who is the one who transgressed, will bring the ashram. She will get malchus. Good. We're not finished yet. So Kol Harayos is still continuing to contrast shivcha charufa with all other cases of arayos. Really fascinating. Kol Harayos. All of the cases of illicit relationships, echad gadol ve'echad katan, hakatan pater. So we'll say, so again, in general, when you have arayos relationships, let's say you have an arayos relationship, one of the parties is a gadol, one of the parties is a katan. So the Mishnah indicates over here that under those circumstances, hakatan pater, right? The katan will be pater, right? A katan, obviously, we'll say in general, is halacha l'maisa, doesn't have liability. So if a katan engages in an act of arayos, the katan is pater. Echad er ve'echad yashin. We'll say if again two people engage in an illicit relationship, but one is awake, one is asleep. So hayashin pater, the one who is sleeping, obviously is pater. Echad shogeg ve'echad mezid. If one is intentional, one of the parties is shogeg, one of the parties is mezid. Hashogeg bechatos. The shogeg is by general arayas. The shogeg will bring a chatos. V'hamezid be kares, and the mezid gets kares. And I will say, what the Mishnah seems to be doing over here is contrasting the laws of arayos with the laws of shivcha charufa. Now watch this. V'hacha chayiv katan. Are you telling me then that in a case of shivcha charufa, if one of the parties is a katan, that by shivcha charufa, ultimately again, even a katan is chayiv? No, this is what it means to say. Kol harayos, echad gadol ve'echad katan. in general, again, when it comes to arayos, if one of the parties is a gadol, one of the parties is a katan pater, the gadol chayiv. So I will say by arayos, if one of the parties is a katan, the katan will be pater from any type of liability, but the gadol will be chayiv. V'hacha gadol nami pater. Both say here in the case of shifcha charufa, ultimately again the gadol will also be pater. So, for example, in the case of shifcha charufa, if one of the parties ultimately again is a katan, in that case the gadol will also be pater. That's different than a regular case of arayos, where if one of the parties is a katan, the katan is pater, but the gadol is chayiv. My taima, what's the reason? Remember again, this goes back to what we just said before. There is a linkage between the man and the shifcha charufa. What's the linkage? It's the bakorestiya vehevies ashamo. There's a linkage between their punishments. So again, remember what did we say before? When she's chayiv malkis, he's chayiv in asham. If she's not chayiv, he's so because there's that linkage. Therefore, again, the Gemara understands that if one of them is a katan, not only is the katan party pater, but what? The gadol is pater as well. Weiter. So the Gemara says, remember again, in general with arayos, if one of the parties is asleep, one of the parties is awake, the party who is asleep is pater, the one who's awake is chayiv. So you're telling me then v'kan yashan nami chayiv, think about shifcha charufa, that the sleeping party is also chayiv. This is what it means to say. In general by arayos, echad neir ve'echad yashen pater. By general arayos, if one of the parties is asleep, one of the parties is awake, so the sleeping party is pater. The awake party. Thank you. The awake party is going to be chayiv. V'kan by shifcha charufa afil neir pater. Even the awake party is pater. Why? My time of the mekashna adali. So we'll say again, same idea. Shifcha charufa is going to be different than all of the cases of arayos because of the linkage in their punishments. Therefore, again, when it comes to shifcha charufa, when one of the parties is pater, the other one is automatically pater as well. Tani Tana Kameid Rav Sheshes. So we'll say, so the top one of Sheshes is following halacha. Asu gomer kima'ara. So we'll say, now again, we're going to read this, it's not going to make sense, and the Gemara is going to reinterpret it. They made one who, gomer means a complete biyah, one who finishes an act of biyah, kima'ara, to one who has what we call haschalas biyah, right? Ma'ara bosai means tchilas biyah, which again, as we mentioned before, there's machlokes. Does that mean what the Gemara calls neshika sevarim, just the touching of the sexual organs, or does it require some initial level of penetration? But it's what we call tchilas biyah, the beginning of biyah. So they made gomer kima'ara, miskavin kishem miskavin, intentional like unintentional, kedarka kishalo kedarka, biyah kedarka like biyah shalo kedarka, ne'ar kiyashin, and awake like asleep. Amrlei Maika Amrit, what are you talking about? Right, the Bryce doesn't make any sense. First of all, first of all, it's not only what are you talking about, it's also who are you talking about. So if you're talking about shifcha charufa, amai asu gomer kima'ara. Ultimately, again, what does it mean that you make the completion of biyah like the beginning of biyah? So the Gemara says, gomer b'shifcha charufa mechayiv, ma'ar lo mechayiv. Rabbi say one of the distinctions between shifcha charufa and other forms of biyah is that other forms of biyah you're only chayiv, you're chayiv even for tchilas biyah. For shifcha charufa you're only chayiv for gimar biyah. So ma'ar lo mechayiv visu miskavin keshena miskavin. What does that mean? That intent is like a lack of intent. I mikavana mechayiva. Right, I mechavna mechayva, I lo mechayva. If there's kavana, you're chayiv. If there's not kavana, you're not chayiv. Ukidarka shlo kidarka nami. That's another interesting halacha. Bia kidarka b'shlo. By general arayos, whether you engage in bia kidarka, bia shlo kidarka, you will be chayiv. Interestingly enough, kidarka b'shifcha charufa mechayiv, b'shlo kidarka lo mechayiv. This is actually quite fascinating. By shifcha charufa, you're only chayiv for bia kidarka, not chayiv for bia shelo kidarka. My time why is not shichvas zeraksiv. Both is actually quite interesting. So because by shifcha charufa, the Torah uses lashon of shichvas zera. We dash in shichvas zera to mean what? Only the type of bia which can result in a pregnancy. a bia which cannot result in a pregnancy, ultimately, again, you are not chayiv for. Umay neyar ki yashen. What are you talking about that we treat someone who is asleep like they are awake? I b'shar rayos katani. So I'll say, if you want to say the Bible is referring to shara rayos, so asu gomer kima ara. So I'll say, then what does it mean when they say they made the completion of the bia like the beginning? Amud beis. Ipcha ibayele lemisne. You have to go, you should be stating it the opposite, that they made the beginning of the bia like the completion of the bia. So he said, so he responded, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go ahead? Because remember again, this is a conversation. Tani Tana Kamid Rav Sheshes. So I say ultimately they're presenting this before Rav Sheshes. So the one who was presenting, he said to Rav Sheshes, so Rav Sheshes raises the kasha. So the one who's presenting, he says, Rabbi, would you like me to erase the brisa? And I was, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just giving you the information. What do you want me to do with the brisa? Amar Leilo. So Rav Sheshes says, no. Hachi Katani. Here's how you have to read the brisa. Asu Gomer Shelo Kidarka. B'shivcha charufa delo mechayvi. So we'll say kima'ara kidarka d'shechva zeraxis. So was an interesting case. So they made one who completes an act of bia shelo kidarka by a shivcha charufa. We'll say what happens if a person completes an act of bia shelo kidarka by a shivcha charufa. What's the halacha there? You're not chayiv because it's bia shelo kidarka. That's just like a case of ma'ara kidarka. So we'll say okay. So. It's a kind of a little way of saying completing an act of bia shelo kedarka by shivcha charufa is the equivalent of initiating an act of bia kedarka. Just like you're not chayiv for bia shelo kedarka, so too you are not chayiv for tchilas bia by bia kedarka. Which we both say is another way of saying that in order to be chayiv for shivcha charufa, what do you need? A complete act of bia kedarka. That's fact number one. Shivcha charufa requires complete act of bia kedarka. Number two, miskabin shelo kedarka b'shivcha dipturim, a case of where a person had kavana for bia shelo kedarka by a shivcha, which you're pater, right? Because you're pater again for any act of bia shelo kedarka. Ultimately, again, ke'eno miskabin the b'turin ke'eno miskabin the shechva zera. So ultimately, again, is the equivalent of what? So a miskavin shelo kedarka is the equivalent of an eino miskavin kedarka. As I say, what's the halacha of miskavin for bia she'eno kedarka by a shivcha? What's the halacha? You're pater. Why? Because it's bia shelo kedarka. That's the equivalent of an eino miskavin by a bia kedarka, which means what Rabbi saying that in order to be chayav for by shivcha charufa, it has to be what? Bia kedarka and miskavin. Has to be intentional. Number two, neir shelo kedarka. Right, neir shelo kedarka b'shivcha dipturin. So we'll say ultimately again, if they have bia shelo kedarka and they are both awake by a shivcha, you're pater, right? That is the equivalent of kiyashin. That is the equivalent ultimately of what? Of bia kedarka where one of them is asleep. We'll say, meaning what? That halacha l'maisa, the shivcha has to be awake. So in order for ultimately, again, to be chayav for shivcha harufa, what do you need? Both of them have to be awake, it has to be bia kedarka, and it has to be a complete act of bia. My time is shivcha zerksiv. Nimsa, miskavein, ma'amara b'shivcha, kishein miskavein mechal harayos, right? Kishein miskavein mechal harayos. Therefore, we'll say, it turns out that ultimately, again, miskavein if he had kavana, but it was only tchilas bia by shivcha, is the equivalent of an eno miskavein by all other arayos. Yoshein kedarka, if one of them was asleep and it was a bia kedarka, ki yoshein da arayos is like the equivalent ultimately again of sleeping by all other arayos. Nimsa neir shelo kedarka. Therefore, we'll say if one of them was asleep, would be a shelo kedarka b'shivcha ki yoshein b'chol arayos, like sleeping by all other arayos. So we'll say, so bottom line, halacha l'maisa, what comes out from the Gemara is in order to be chayiv ultimately again for shivcha charufa. So we'll say, let's bring this all together. The Rambam discusses this, but just because of time, I don't think we're going to do it inside. We'll just do it outside. But Abu said, halacha l'maisa, in order to be chayiv, it has to be a shivcha who is a chatzi bas chorin, chatzi shivcha. Betrothed, I'm using that term loosely, but betrothed to who? To an Evet Ivri. And what type of bia are you chayiv for? Only a bia kedarka, where both are awake, and gimar bia, complete bia. Anything missing from that ultimately, again, does not result in at least biblical liability. Both say the reason I say biblical liability is because of the following. The Rambam writes as follows. The Rambam does say The Rambam does say, right, any time that you're pater from malchus, because again, remember, let's say, for example, let's say a man has bia shalo kedarka, right, or tchilas bia with a shifcha charufa, so you will not be chayiv malchus. The Rambam does write, avamakin osam makas mardos midivreim. We do give rabbinic malchus, im hayu shnehen mizidin ugidolin. I will say, any time where both the shifcha charufa and the Yisrael are both consenting adults, even if their act of bia does not conform to generate biblical liability, we will give them malchus mardos, right? You can't escape the long arm of justice. Right? They will say, at the end of the day, if you did something wrong, we are going to patch you. Good, beautiful. I will say, let's go weiter. Hadron alach, aru mechusari kapara, mazel tov. I will say, let's go weiter. Best part is coming. I don't know if you want to miss this. So says the Gemara, amru lo, achal techeler. I will say, here we go. Let's go weiter. They say to a person, well, this is actually quite fascinating. They say to a guy, we're going to discuss of who the they is saying to the guy, amru lo, achal techeler. They said to a guy, you ate chaylev, maybe chatos. So we'll say, so again, we're going to discuss what he's saying in response if he's saying anything. They say to a guy, you ate chaylev. What's the halacha? He brings a chatos. Okay? Eid omer achal, the eid omer lo achal. We'll say, what happens if one witness says, you ate. And what happens? One witness says, eid echad omer achal, the eid echad omer lo achal. One witness says, you ate chaylev, right? A guy comes over to me. Reuven comes over and says, Silber, you ate chaylev. Shimon says, no, you didn't eat chaylev. Or isha omeres achal, the isha omeres lo achal. So I'll say, and again, whether that one witness is a man, one witness is a woman. One witness says, you ate. One witness says, you didn't eat. What's the halacha? Maybe asham talui. But I'll say, interestingly enough, in a case of eid echad against eid echad, what's the halacha? You bring in asham talui. Okay? Eid omer achal, v'hu omer lo achalti. Let's listen to this case. What happens if an eid echad says, you ate, right? Eid echad says you ate. And what happens? But the individual himself says, no, I didn't eat. So I'm contradicting the eid echad, pater. In other words, the eid echad has no strength over me. I'm just as strong as the eid echad. So if I claim against the eid echad, I'm believed, pater. Shnaim omrim achal. Both listen to this case. Two witnesses come along and they tell me, you ate chaylev. V'u omer lo achalti. I say, no, I didn't. Rabbi Meir mechayir. Rabbi Meir says, I'm chayiv to bring a karban. Rabbi Meir, how do I know this? Because im hivi'uhu shnaim lidei misa chamura lo yivi'u yedei karban akal. If two people could make me chayiv for a death penalty, right? So let's remember again, b'pashtos, most times that two witnesses show up in Beis Din and accuse a guy of a capital crime, most of them would assume that what is the guy saying? Right? I didn't do it. Right? We would assume that's usually what happens, right? And yet we see that halacha l'maisa, two witnesses have the ability to cause someone to be executed. So if two people have the ability to cause someone to be executed, it's certainly what? They have the ability to cause someone to be chayiv to a karban, for a karban, even if that individual is denying the claim. Thank you. So the Gemara says, Amrulo. So the Rabbanan said back to Rabbi Meir, 1 second, Ma'im Yertzalomar Meisira Yisi Pater. It's different over here. Because we'll say here, there is the possibility that the individual could refute the claims of the witnesses. How? If he turns around and says, you're right, I ate the chaylev and I did it b'mezid. But we'll say, what's the halacha if he ate it b'mezid? What's the halacha? He's pater from a karban. He's pater from a karban in that case. So there is the ability, the point that Rabbanan are making over here is, there is the ability of the individual to refute the claims of the two. So therefore, certainly in this case where he says, I didn't eat it, halacha l'maaseh should be believed. Achol chaylev v'chaylev b'helam echad, einu chayiv ela achas. What's another case? What happens if halacha l'maaseh, an individual ate 2 kizesim of chaylev in one lapse of awareness? What's the halacha? He's only chayiv for 1 karban. You know, right? Achal chaylev v'damu pigol v'nosar b'alam echad. What happens if he ate chaylev and dam and pigol and nosar in one lapse? He was hungry. In one lapse of awareness. What's the halacha? Chayiv al kol achas v'achas. But say in that case, even though it all happened in one lapse of awareness, because they are distinct isurim, he will be chayiv separately for each isur. Zeh chumra b'minin harbe mimin echad. This Rabbi say represents the chumra of different types of minin over one echad. So Rabbi say, interestingly enough, if I eat multiple kezesim of chaylev in one lapse of awareness, I'm only chayiv once. But if you eat chaylev, dam, noser, pigol, chazer, whatever else, as long as if it's happening all in one lapse, even though it's happening in one lapse, because there are distinct isurim, halacha l'mayis, you're chayiv for each and every one of them. The chumrah b'min echad min harbe. But say, what's the chumrah that consumption of one type of min has over multiple minim? Listen to this. Shem achal chatzi zayis v'chazar v'achal kachatzi zayis pe'alam echad min echad chayiv mishnei minim peturim. But say, this is an interesting distinction. Here's the chumrah that min echad has, which is, say, let's say you go ahead and you eat a half a kizayis of chaylev. And then you eat a little while later another half the kizayis of chaylev, all in one lapse of awareness. So we'll say, what's the halacha? They combine. We'll qualify this, but they combine to form a kizayis of iser. Masha'en kain, if you eat a half a kizayis of pigul, and then a half a kizayis of nosar, and then a half a kizayis of dam, and then a half a kizayis of whatever else, what's the halacha? You're pater. Why? Half kizesim of distinct isurim do not combine with each other. So we'll say, here is the chumrah that a min echad has over min in harbe. Min echad, if you eat half a kizesim in one ha'elam, under certain circumstances, those half kizesim could form together to form the shear. Min in harbe, ultimately in ha'elam echad, do not combine together. We'll say just a few more lines, then we'll stop. So katani, amru lo achal tachelev maybe chatos. So we'll say, now watch this. So let's talk about this first case. Amru lo means what? How do you translate that phrase? They said to him, you ate chelev, maybe chatos. He brings the chatos. Says the Gemara, Amru kama havyon. How many is Amru? How many people are telling him that he ate chelev? So train. So b'pashtus Amru, right? The minimum of Amru is what? Is they. Plural is two. So we'll say it's two. So we'll say, here's the shaila. So here's the shaila. What did he say back? So two guys show up, say, hey, Yankel, you ate chaylev. So what does Yankel have to say? I'm sorry. So we'll say, so what's happening? So if you want to say that two guys show up and tell Yankel that he ate chaylev, and Yankel doesn't say anything, okay, elashtika de trainhu de maybe chatos, ashtika de chadlo. So Bo says the Mishnah coming to teach me that Allah Lamaisa I only bring a chatos for the shtika when I'm told by two witnesses, but would not bring a chatos when confronted by one. What about the mitzvah? What about the middle of the Mishnah? 8 Omer Achal, V'hu Omer Lo Achalti. But remember, the middle of the Mishnah says, and 8 Echad says that what? That Halach L'maisa, you ate, right? And he says, I didn't eat. Taima Dimachishle, right? The reason ultimately, again, that he doesn't bring is because he is contradicting the 8 Echad. Aval Shosik Mechayev. But had he been silent, right? Had the Eid Echad comes along and says, you ate, and I wouldn't say anything, I would bring the Choshekin Shrei, right? And I both say, so again, if I can infer from the Mishnah that if an Eid Echad says I ate chaylev, and I don't contradict that Eid, that I would bring a chatas based on that, then certainly if two show up and say I ate chaylev, and I don't contradict them, of course I'll bring chaylev, of course I'll bring a chatas. Ella de kamachishlu. Rather, I both say, what's the case? The case is where two guys are showing up and telling me what? I ate chaylev. And I say, no, I didn't. And what is the Mishnah Paskit? Maybe chatos. Right? When two witnesses show up and say, I ate chaylev, and I say, no, I didn't, I have to go ahead and bring a chatos. So money, whose opinion does this reflect? Rabbi Meir, he amar, ha'chasha debeit shrei, laf ha'chashi. So both say, must reflect the view of Rabbi Meir, because Rabbi Meir himself says in the Mishnah that what? When two witnesses come along and give testimony, even if I contradict them, the testimony of the two witnesses stands. About the Rabbanan Pater. But the Rabbanan would say in such a case, when two witnesses show up and they say, I ate chaylev, and I say, no, I didn't, Rabbi say, who is believed? Who is believed? I am believed. Why? The Rabbanan would say, because I could say, Mezid Hayisi. I could say, I did it intentionally, because from the carbon anyway. Omai kamash malan miseifa shamis mina. So we'll say miseifa kamash shamis mina. So what? I don't understand. So we'll say if that's the case, then the opening line of the Mishnah is saying the same thing as the latter case in the Mishnah. To which the Gemara says, "Hakamash malan davar zem machlokes Rabbi Meir v'Rabbanan." ultimately, again, it's teaching me that what? That this whole situation is a machlokes Rameir and the Rabbanon. V'hu de kamachish lehu. But Rabbi said the machlokes is only when I contradict the witnesses. Ike da amri. Others say, da amri lo, amr lo nami chad karile. But others say that no. The first case of the Mishnah Rabbi said, amru lo, even though it sounds plural, is only referring to what? One witness. Where do you get that amru is one witness? Disnan, ha'isha shahalach baila lemedinas hayam, uba va'amr la meis ba'alech. But if a woman whose husband went overseas and witnesses uba uva amrula, they came and they said to her, your husband died. Their husband died. Vini says she gets remarried. Va'achar kach ba baila, and then her husband came back. Her husband wasn't dead. He came back. Teitze mizeh umizeh. What's the halacha? She has to leave both husbands, right? She has to leave husband number 2, obviously, because she's not allowed to marry if she was an Eishes Ish. And effectively, she committed adultery, and therefore she can't go back to husband number 1. The kaimalan da'afilu bechad. And we'll remember again, what's the halacha? A woman is permitted to remarry even based on what? Even based on the testimony of one witness. So you see over here that what? It says, va'amru la mispalech. But we know that she's permitted to get married even based on the testimony of one. So you see that sometimes amru, which sounds plural, could even refer to one. Mimai, midiktani seifa, nises shalo b'shus, muteres lachzur lo. So we'll say ultimately again, because the seifa of that Mishnah says that if she got married, she got remarried shalo b'shus. So we'll say shalo b'shus means without the reshus of Beis Din, but just based on the testimony of the witnesses. Muteres lachzur lo. She's permitted to go back to her husband. My shalo b'shus Beis Din ve'ed echad. Ultimately, again, without the reshus of Beis Din, but based on the testimony of the eid echad. Michlal dereisha b'shus Beis Din u be'ed echad. Alma gabe eid echad katani amru. V'hachanami diktani amru lo mashma afilu eid echad. So both say the Gemara therefore successfully proves that what you see from here from the context of isha b'alam dinas hayam. That sometimes even when you use lashon of amru, which is plural could still mean eid echad. So both say. So we'll stop over here for today. But understand what's happening now. So now we'll say we have two interpretations of Amru, the first case of the Mishnah. According to the first interpretation, Amru lo achal techelev mevi chatos is teaching me what? Two witnesses came along and what? Said ate chatos. And what am I saying? What am I saying in the first case, according to the first interpretation? I'm saying, no, I didn't. So what is the Mishnah coming to teach me? Maybe chatas, I bring a chatas. Rabbi say, by the way, the Mishnah then clarifies, by the way, that when two witnesses come along and say something, and I contradict the two witnesses, davar zeh shani b'machlokes. That's the machlokes Rabbi Meir and the Rabbanon. Rabbi Meir says you can't contradict two witnesses. Whatever two witnesses says, that's the truth. Rabbanon say, yes, you can. Second interpretation of the Mishnah is what? Amru lo achalta chelev. First case of the Mishnah is an eid echad is coming along and telling me that what? I ate chelev. We'll say we'll continue tomorrow with the fundamental question, which is, what did I say in return? And Mirat Hashem tomorrow. We'll say just a reminder, tomorrow is also a Sunday schedule. Davening at 7:15. Shir follows the first.